Hello everyone, this is Rebecca from Papeterie de Joie with a little bit of a froggy voice. I'm here to decant some of the plant ink that I've made and see what colors we come out with. This video is probably a week or more overdue, but I've got a minute, so I want to get these jars emptied so I can put something else in them. So the first one we're going to be doing is salbriar leaves from the autumn, and when I picked these were a very rich burgundy, almost black, and I pulled them out of my parents' rhododendron where it had grown during the summer. And I've got this paper towel down here to keep the lights from glaring off of this tray underneath. Otherwise, all you'd see is a bunch of lights. And so this is coming out kind of a dark reddish orange so far. And you can see where I've spilled it. It's a little bit greenish on the white, but in the liquid it's very orangey. I really like doing these. They're like science experiments. And I've got I think 7 jars. I don't know how many I will do in this video. But I'd like to do at least 3 or 4 of them. Okay. Now while that's draining, there's not a lot of liquid left in there, but while it's draining, I'm going to set this to the side. Probably ought to get my rubber gloves on. Let me do that before I go any further, because I don't need evidently I've painted in these. I don't need red, green, yellow, whatever the colors we end up working with in my fingernails and all that. But look how pretty that's turning out. I mean, that's just gorgeous in the ink or the liquid part of it. Okay, let's pull in a piece of paper and dump the rest of this out. And see what we get. It's interesting that I found this with another fall leaf that I did, that even though the leaves are red and fall colored, it's like it still reverts back to what it would be normally with all of its chlorophyll in it. I've got something jiggling. I rearranged. I have a shelf behind, well, to you it would be like in front of you, but I have a shelf here with my paintbrushes and I've got 4 containers of paintbrushes. I'm not sure what's making the jiggly sound, but anyway, I think it's, I don't know what it is, but anyway, yeah, I saw these rich red leaves and thought sure they would give me some red color, it's looking kind of green. Now, what is it that is making this noise that's bugging me? Okay, I think I fixed it. Or at least lessened it. And I'm going to try to get a little bit of ink there is left on these leaves, because it don't absorb, but they are very wet. I don't remember what I have over there as far as plants. I wanted to get this video done before Thanksgiving, but it just didn't work out. So I'm doing it now. And once I get everything decanted that I have up right now, I'm gonna not do any more for now and just wait and see what it does, and then use some of it in some projects. This is turning almost yellow. Now, just for some experimentation here, here's the color of the ink, but here's the color that it's making. But now, like I said in the last video, heat brings the color out. So if you did this and you baked it in the oven, which I don't know that I would wholly recommend unless you stand right there and watch it, and it has to be on the lowest temperature possible. But I use iron, and that way it's like instant. But yeah, this is surprising. Okay, so I'm going to pause the camera and get rid of this and go on to the next one. And I'll be back with the next jar in just a minute. Okay, this jar is something I've been wanting to see. I don't know if you can see those bubbles with, hopefully the light's not glaring. This is from a sourwood, and a sourwood is a tree that grows in the mountains of western North Carolina. I'm sure it grows probably throughout the whole Appalachians, up and down. It has white blooms that look like very small grapes almost from a distance, and the bees love them. Sourwood honey is one of the best honeys ever. When they take on their fall color, they're a very, very rich burgundy red, and sometimes they can be more pink, but this year they were really, really burgundy. And so I'm hoping that what comes out is also burgundy, and something I'm going to do, because these leaves are sticking out the top, I'm going to just take a few out and go ahead and put them on here. Just hopefully I hope it won't spill when I try to pour it. Look at that. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, let's see what happens. Now this is a big jar. But look at that. It's like almost a black red. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to go ahead and move these around a little bit. I've got a stem. You can see this one's really becoming saturated, so it had a lot of liquid on it. Oh, whew, it slipped right out of my hand. My glove's wet. at least I didn't lose very much, or at least I don't think I did. I'm just amazed at the color of that. Look how rich. I mean, it's like a ruby black or a garnet color almost. Yeah, that scared me a little bit. Made me jump. Okay. I think I'm going to have to get another bottle. Put this in like this, and then if any leaves fall in, I can restrain it, but they're in there so tight that there's not going to be a whole lot come out. And that'll just make the process go a little bit faster. And this will probably have to go right back into the jar that I've made it in, because there's a lot of ink in there, or a lot of liquid. The leaves were red. I mean, like the color of the ink when I put them in, but look, it's taken almost all of the red color out. Okay. I'm going to move that to the side. I'm just going to turn that upside down there for a minute. Move this to the side. And that might be all I need to finish coloring up this piece of paper. I cannot believe that color. I just love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. Okay, let's see. You can see how big the leaves are, and I just stuffed them in as long as they would go. That's why I needed such a big jar. Yep, we'll not put that one over here. I don't want to tear a hole in the paper. Hopefully when I'm shaking it, I'm not shaking. I've got my camera, the little arm is attached to the wall, so if I'm shaking it, then that means the whole house is moving. Okay. I'm going to turn it this way so I can have a little bit more room. I'm just loving this color, and if it's this color when it's wet, I cannot imagine when it's dry. And the sawbriar one, it started out green, but it's not green now. It is just a huge surprise what these leaves are turning into. It's just amazing to me. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of this white of the paper covered or saturated enough so that it's not white anymore. I'll put the leaf in. Okay, let's see what we've got. Oh my goodness. Oh, I just love this. I cannot wait to make some paper with this. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Wow. This is amazing to me. And like I said, it looks very light right now, but I bet it turns really, really dark. I'd love it if it was that color exactly. You can see where it spilled. So, okay, so I'm going to let this one dry while I go on to the next one, but I gotta get all this cleaned up and get my bottle situated, because look how much this turned out. This is 2 cups. It's right on the line of 2 cups. And then this one, it's in milliliters. I picked these up at a I think a thrift store somewhere. Anyway, I've got I think 10 maybe of these of different sizes. Anyway, I'm not sure what 10 mil is, but I'd say that's at least half a cup. So, okay. Wow, I'm loving this. I'm just loving this. Alright, let me get cleaned up and we'll go on to the next one. Shake off a little bit more drops on here. I'm just still being amazed by it. Look at the color that's coming already. I can't wait to see this dry. Yep, this might be my favorite one. I'll be collecting every sourwood leaf I can find next fall. Okay, the next one we're doing is purple dahlias. These are out of my mother's flower garden, and they were dried before I put them in the jar. Some flowers I had dried and some I hadn't. So let's see what we get. And these are packed really tight, so I don't expect to get a lot of liquid with this one. It's turning out to be a very kind of translucent orangey red. Well, not orangey, but a little bit of a orange tint. And you can see the paper towel I'm leaving here. The yellow is the first one we did, the sawbriars, and then this is the sourwood tree. Now this is not dry yet and it's not been exposed to any heat, but right now it's looking pretty good. But I'm just going to use this for everything and whatever drips and spills that I have. We'll see what it ends up being. But yeah, there's not much liquid in this one at all. Or maybe it's just taking a minute to come down. Maybe that's what it is. So I think I can take a few of these out and put on the paper. I think this is going to be a translucent color, and sometimes that's what they end up being, is translucent more than a lot of color. But I do see a little bit of a pinkish color coming through. But now these are very juicy. Those leaves of both the tree and the both the sourwood and the sawbriar, neither one of those leaves absorbed any alcohol, but these petals have absorbed. Let's see if I can look at that. Yeah, so I think we got enough there. We can finish this piece of paper out really well. Now I'll just let that sit there, and see if there's anything else. And I'm sorry, I'm right under the camera with my blue glove, so you're probably seeing a lot of blue. Maybe I can rearrange it just slightly. Okay. While it's draining, gently put that over there and that over there. But yeah, this is kind of surprised me a little bit. Move this out of the way. But yeah, I do believe this is going to be very translucent. I don't think it's going to have a lot of color. But now, again, it's not dry, so anything can happen. But it is a pretty color of a pink, developing a very light pink. And look, it makes it the alcohol, that when it's super saturated, the paper gets really stiff, and at least while it's wet, and then it makes it almost a little bit, makes the paper translucent slightly. Okay, now I've got to find somewhere to put that while it finishes drying, or it don't, technically it don't dry, it evaporates, but whatever. We don't have to be 100% technical all the time. Okay, the next on the list is some marigolds that I picked at my daughter's house back in October. I think it was October. Anyway, and I think I might have mentioned them in my last video doing this. They are, I don't know the name of them, but they're a type of marigold that has a really orange bloom toward the center, but the outside and the top of the bloom is like a velvet blood red. And so this is what it looks like in the jar, but of course they look nothing like that now. When I was up there the last time, the frost had got them, so you know, there's no more harvesting any of those right now. But anyway, I've had these jarred for probably about 6 weeks. I tried to, when I first started doing this, I tried to do it like every couple of weeks or so, but between holidays and doing stuff for family and this, that, and the other, I just haven't been able to keep the schedule that I started out with. But it's funny, everything that I'm doing tonight's is some color of red, it seems. At least the liquid is. I'm telling you now that some of it's not turning out the colors that I thought. I'm just blown away by some and severely disappointed by others. But you can see here, we've already established that this yellow is the sawbriar from the beginning. This pink is the sour wood tree. And then I don't think I have, okay, I've only done 3, haven't I? Yeah, I'm on the 4th one. Okay, so this purple that you see here is the dahlia that I just bottled up, or jarred up. So, so I'm anxious to see what this is going to be. There's not much liquid in here. But I think I'm getting down to the point that I can go ahead and dump some on the paper. This is going to be just a small jar, so I'm going to move this to the side and move this out of the way so it's not contaminated, and get my little thing out here. Let's pull some of these. Yeah, if you look at them now, there's no red on them whatsoever. But when I packed them, they were the color of the liquid coming out. That really dark burgundy, and they were very velvety. The blooms were. They had a velvet feel and look to them. So let's get all these out, and then I can just turn the jar upside down in the little funnel and let whatever's in it drain out. And lean it against something so hopefully it don't fall. Okay. Oh, I bet I got, I do. I've got some dahlia still purple on my gloves. Let me pull them off and change them. I don't want to contaminate it too much. I didn't even think about that. But I can't imagine having all these colors on my hands. I don't know how long it would take them to wear off, if they did at all. Okay, I guess I'll just leave that little part. But it looks like this is coming out to be just a little bit orange, which is, you know, given the color that you see, it's about what you expect. But I believe it's going to be a translucent. But one thing I'm realizing, some things, like the dahlias, it is absolutely purple. No doubt about that whatsoever. But some things, like the, what was the last one I did before? Or the sourwood. On the coffee filter, it's that pretty pink like you see here, but on the paper it's not. So, and I know that's the difference in the paper and whatever the makeup of the paper is, as opposed to the ink. So yeah, I don't know what color this is going to be, but I'm going to lay this to the side. And I hope it comes out something like that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay, well that's kind of short and sweet. These are a little easier to clean up. I'm going to squeeze these into my funnel. And then I'm going to put this paper back on here and take some of that liquid. Look at these gloves now from where I just squeezed those. I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay. Alright. Let me lay this back over here to the side. And go clean all this up. I've got 2 more that I want to do. And then that will end this session, and I probably won't have any more. I may not do any more till springtime. Look at that. I wonder if that's dye of the color of that, you know, does orange on blue make it green? Okay, the next one on the list is the leaves from a beech tree, and they're fall leaves, so they were very, very yellow. So let's see what we get. Might actually get a different color. It's looking like so far. Definitely more yellow than red. I guess it could almost be considered a rich orange. But again, have to wait and see what happens when it gets dry, or when it gets, when the alcohol evaporates. I don't think there's going to be a lot of liquid. It's funny, the petals and leaves and whatnot that absorb a little bit of alcohol there tends to be more of it, but the ones that don't seem like there's that much. But then again, I also packed these really, really tight, so it wouldn't have held all that much liquid. And I had to put on a new pair of gloves. You would not believe what those gloves look like that I did the marigolds with. Look at that. Now, let a little bit more of that drain, and then we'll dump it out on the paper. But yeah, this looks like honey. It's kind of that golden brown. Now that would be interesting to see what that turns out to be. Okay. While that drains down, move that to the side. Hopefully not bump things. You hear that all the I have glass to the left of me, all my little empty jars and stuff. So let's pull out some. Oh wow, listen how crispy they are. See, beech leaves. They don't look all that much different than they did when I put them in there, except wet looking. This. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go. Okay, I'm going to start pressing some of these down because obviously wet, but they're not holding any liquid, so I don't want any of it to evaporate too fast before I do something with them. Okay, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of color. It might be a pretty color, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of color come out of this just because they're very dry, or you know, they didn't absorb that much or any alcohol. That just sat around them. So okay, that's a little bit left in there. Okay, let's see what we've got here. And the reason that I do this with the leaves and petals and stuff is because there's no point in just tossing them and wasting what little bit of ink's on them. This just lets me create a sample page from, and see what it looks like. So that's why I do this the way that I do it. Try to get some of all these little white spaces. Well, I think it's definitely going to be either an orangey yellow or a yellowy orange, one or the other. But it also could be green. I don't remember now which leaves it was. I'm going to go back to one of the other videos and see it, but even though it was a fall leaf, the ink turned out green. So just because the chlorophyll's gone doesn't mean that it doesn't still produce green ink. I think that might be as good as I can get from these leaves. Okay, so I'm going to lay this aside, and then I'm going to pour what little bit there was left in that, and I'm loving that color. I hope it turns out to be this color. Put a little bit right here and just see what we get when it dries. Okay, so let me clean this one up. I've got one more jar, and then we'll be done for this go around. Well, I told you a fib. I had a jar sitting to the side that I didn't remember that I had. And I have a little story behind it. When I told my dad about 2 months ago now that I was making ink out of plant material, Now, my dad takes care of a 200-acre farm, and 160 acres of it is grass that he mows twice a week, or he works 2 days a week and keeps this 160 acres mowed. And so he said, well, there's a cucumber tree up there that the leaves are starting to fall, and when the mower pulls them in, like mulches them through the mower, he said it's turning the mower brown, excuse me, really brown. He said so brown that you can't see the color of the mower anymore. He said, I don't know if you'd be interested in something like that. And I said, oh my goodness, Daddy, brown's the color I would use the most. And he said, well, I'll get you some then. So when I was up there the other day, he had taken a little bag he got at the hardware store, just a little, like a quart size bag, and stuffed it full of these leaves. And now, for those of you who don't know, a cucumber tree is a deciduous magnolia, so it has leaves like 12 to 15 inches long and 3 to 5 inches wide. They're huge, but they're not leathery like the southern magnolia. They're thinner and a whole lot lighter green, but the blooms are almost identical. So anyway, so he had me all of these bunches of leaves. So they've been sitting over here for about a month, and it looks like they're going to turn out yellow, or at least looking at it so far. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. But anyway, that's how I ended up with these particular leaves, is my dad gathered them for me to see what they would do. So my battery died right in the middle of me talking, so hopefully I got in all the words. I guess I'll figure it out when I go to edit. But anyway, this is definitely turning out a golden yellow color. Alright, let's see what we've got. I'm going to pull out some of these leaves, and by the very nature of them, I got the sticks and everything just because the main stem goes a long way down the leaf, and so that would have just been more than, when I was doing this, more than I wanted to try to deal with, because I was already having to crush the leaves up. Now, when he picked them up, they were brown already. They had already fallen off the tree. So I don't know. So which means they were dry. But I don't know if getting them on the tree before they turn brown, I don't know what that would have done, if anything. But I know if this don't end up turning a nice brown, my daddy's going to be disappointed. And so will I, actually. Yeah, I don't know. This is, I can see some green or yellow. I guess it's really yellow that I'm seeing here more than any other color. But again, when you put heat to it, and see, I'm squeezing these and nothing is coming out. So it's just, the alcohol's just hanging on to the edges. They're not, there's nothing absorbed or hiding between anything. But they were very liquidy. Okay, let me set this to the side over here. And I'm going to jar this one up and get the last one. I promise it is, the next one is the last one. And we'll see what we've got next. Now this is the last jar, and I turned this lid upside down because I've not painted it yet, and I didn't want the name brand to show, but there is unknown leaves at this time. I picked them at my daughter's house. They come off of a big shrub, and I actually think it might be a tree. They live way out in the boonies, and it could have been a tree that they trimmed down, but it had long yellow leaves about like that, long, kind of skinny, long oval shaped, and they were very yellow, so I'm hoping that it gives me a good color. Looks very translucent orange, almost a little honeyish colored, I think. But this has got a lot of liquid in it for sure. Yeah, I've not even got half the bottle, so I'll definitely have to find a different jar to put these in. Some of them I'll put back in the same jar once I've cleaned it, but it just depends on how much liquid I have. I think part of this too is I'm seeing it through the over here, but that's still a really pretty color. I sure hope it turns out to be. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. There we go. Set that to the side. And, well, while that's draining, I'm going to pull some leaves out, because I have learned by now that leaves do not absorb any alcohol whatsoever. So let's see what we've got here in the way of color. Hopefully they're not a dud. I've not had a complete dud yet. I've had some that's been awfully close, but as long as they turn the paper some shade of cream, or something where it's not stark white, I'll be happy with it. But of course, the more color the better, right? Put a little bit more in that. Let's see if I can get those last few little leaves out. Well, alright. Let's see what we can do with these. I don't know about this one. I mean, I do see that orange coming through. I do see it. So it's not like it's not there at all, but some colors just come out translucent for whatever reason. So I guess you just have to, it's what this experiment is all about, isn't it? If it turns out not to be something that you'd use again, then I won't be picking these again. I'll pick something else. And there's so much, so much to choose from. The one thing I know that next year I'm going to be picking goldenrod. In front of my parents' house down on the hill, there is nothing but goldenrod. It's everywhere. And so I'll be picking some of that to make me some yellow ink. I do know that. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. I don't know about that one. Oh, and let's see. That there. Pour that. And hopefully none of it will, the trash won't go through. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get a bigger jar. I'll probably have to reuse the same one. Okay, I'm going to stop the camera one more time, clean up all this, get all the sheets dried, and then we'll look at them and see what was a success and what wasn't, and what's a disappointment and what's an amazing thing. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, here are the papers in the order that we did them, and then I'm going to bring in the jar and show you the ink color. I don't even remember what this one was. Okay, this was the Salbriar leaves. It's kind of a dirty orange, or a dirty yellow, I guess you could say. And this is what it looks like in the jar. It's kind of orangish red color. So that's that one. And then here's the coffee filter. And I've learned that the coffee filters, because it's a different kind of paper, it takes up the colors differently. Now, when I did this next one, I accidentally grabbed 2 sheets, not realizing it until I was going to put it out to dry. But this is the sour wood on this cardstock. This is 60-pound cardstock. This is what it is on the paper. This is what it is on the coffee filter. So look at the difference. So it depends on what paper that you put it on, what color it turns out to be. And then this is what it looks like in the jar. It's like blood red, or, you know, almost black. So yeah. Now this one is the purple dahlias. Now there is no disappointment whatsoever with that. That's the coffee filter. And this is what it looks like in the jar. It's like really red in the jar, but look how it comes out purple on the paper. This one is the orange and burgundy marigolds. And look, it turned out green. Back and front, there's a hint of pink or purple, but again, that could have, oh, I know, I do remember, I had to change the gloves, so the purple is from where the dahlia was on my gloves, so I changed them, and this was the side that I touched. This one, I don't think I actually touched it, or if I did, it was very minimal. But anyway, look at this, is green. But this is it on the coffee filter, and it's kind of a light pink with a little bit of green undertones. And here it is in the bottle. It's kind of a reddish brown almost. So next we have the beech leaves, and it turned out yellow, like a nice creamy yellow. That one, I like that color. I'll definitely get some more of these. And then this is the coffee filter. Where it's brown here is where the sediment from the leaves pooled in the coffee filter, so it stained it more brown. But basically it's a little bit more yellow on the coffee filter, but I like this color. This is a nice one. And this is the color in the jar. It's like a a rich orangey, almost like a honey colored yellowy brown. Now from here on out, they're slightly disappointing. Okay, so this is the deciduous magnolia. My daddy's going to be so disappointed in this. It got some green, and then it got, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a few dark veins, and I think that's where the stems were. But yeah, not much going on there. And then this is the filter. It's not changed that much. And this is the color in the jar. So I think if you put this on paper and just, you know, soak the whole thing and let it sit for a while, you might get something maybe close to this, or at least a little darker like that. But just from the leaves, it didn't have a whole lot going on for it. And then the last one is the unknown leaves, and it's got some yellow, but barely. It did make the paper creamy, because when you compare it to the white sheet that it started out being, it's definitely, you know, creamy. And so you could definitely, if you want to make some ivory paper. And then again, the black lines, or almost purplish color, is the stems. And then here's the coffee filter, basically unchanged. But here's what it looks like in the jar. This was another like mid-range orange color. So there is the experiment with the last of the leaves and flowers and petals and all that I'll be doing. But what I do have is, okay, so here I got 7 jars of ink, and I can't open the cabinet behind me or in front of the camera because it would bang the camera, but I've got maybe 12-14 jars of ink. And obviously some of them, like this, will absolutely get used. I'm going to experiment with different papers and see what I can do about the sourwood leaves. One thing I did notice, this paper and this paper at the end is not the same paper, and I didn't realize that I had grabbed from 2 stacks of cardstock. This is 60-pound cardstock, and this is 110-pound cardstock. And when I put the two together, this was more creamy colored, where this was like a bright white. So I'm going to try the sourwood on this paper probably this weekend and see just what it does, if it does anything different. Because obviously it's a paper issue and not an ink issue. So, thank you all very much for watching and having patience as I go through this experimental process. And if you have flowers in your garden and a little bit of alcohol, pour some in, let it sit for a couple of weeks, and strain it out and see what happens, and put it in a spray bottle and spray your papers with it. It can't hurt. So I'll see you all in another video very soon.